Good afternoon. We're going to start in just a few minutes. There are 6 students present. I want to give your colleagues just a little bit more time to join the meeting. Some people may have challenges launching like I did. Zoom can be a little bit temperamental when it wants to be. So let's just give them another second and they should be joining us soon. Okay, good evening again. It is 6:05 and I'm going to start.
Good
I
evening.
assume that other students are going to join us. I don't want to delay our start too long. I want to apologize for what may have caused some confusion. I had sent an email yesterday asking about a ProZoom account. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with Zoom, we're going to talk a little bit about how Zoom works and how you can engage with me and your classmates through this platform. First of all, let me explain. If you see me looking to the left of my screen, it's because this is where I see the students enrolled in the class. And as much as I remind myself that my camera is straight in front of me, I tend to look at the faces and the names that I see to the left. So I will try not to do that. If I do, please do not allow it to weird you out or distract you. So I had sent a message asking about a ProZoom account, and I waited until about 1 o'clock today, or actually later than 1, before I sent my own Zoom invite. I don't have a personal ProZoom account. And the challenge with that is when you schedule meetings with a regular or basic Zoom account, you have a 40-minute cap. And although Mr. Pratt did reply to me and sent the meeting invite to students, his message went to my junk box. So I didn't see it until after I had sent you my own invite. So I apologize if my message created any confusion in terms of which link students should use to join the lesson. I tried to correct it as soon as possible by sending a recall message. So I hope you got that. Now let's talk about Zoom. I want you to raise your hand if you've used this platform before and you are fairly familiar with how it works. And even the raising the hand function requires some familiarity with Zoom. So I see several hands going up. Okay, good. So I don't have to say too much about Zoom. There are one or two students who did not raise their hand. So I will tell you that Zoom's functionality depends on the kind of device that you are using. So regardless of whether you've joined this class or you signed into Zoom with a laptop or a cell phone, you should see at the bottom of your screen an option that says more. And when you touch more, you have more functionality open to you. So you can raise your hand, you can react to comments that I make, you can ask questions in the chat. Some of you may have problems with your microphone and so may not be able to speak, but you can always chat with me or ask a question in general of your classmates. But be aware that the chat option creates some delay in response. I may not necessarily see the chat until a few minutes after you've asked the question, right, or made the comment. So just be aware of that. We are going to be using this platform for the duration of this course, and I'm going to be providing supplementary materials via email. We are also going to be using a breakout rooms feature for discussions and paired assignments. When we get to that component, I'm going to share with you how the breakout rooms work. They allow for a little bit more intimate, small group settings so that you can dialogue and share ideas in the smaller groups before we come back to a larger meeting. Now, I anticipate that there are 11 students registered for this class. Currently, there are only 6 of you in the meeting, which is why I hesitated to start, but I'm hoping that more students join as the semester goes on. Okay? I want to talk to you tonight about first who I am, the objectives of this course, and how your grade is going to be calculated. I do want to alert you that I may have some internet challenges. I hope that I do not. If I do, to minimize any connectivity issues, I may have to turn off my video. I am working with Cable Bahamas to address this. The week before classes began, I am a full-time teacher, and the week before classes began, my whole internet setup was struck by lightning or something, I don't know, but we had a lightning storm, and I woke up the next morning and nothing worked. I changed the box, and it's not working as well as what I had before. And so I've switched it out. Cable Bahamas says, oh, it's working fine, and they don't know what the problem is. So I also don't know what the problem is. I'm trying to work through the challenges. So please bear with me as I work through that, and I hope that it is not too disruptive as we get through the materials and lessons this semester. Okay? All right, so who am I? My name is Mrs. Shaniqua Higgs Bodie, and I am going to be a professor for the next 14 weeks. I am a full-time professor at the University of the Bahamas. I have been a teacher since 2000. I started in 2000, so 21 years, or just about, because after I began teaching high school in 2000, I took a break. After a short teaching stint at my alma mater, I took a break because I realized that teaching high school, while it was enjoyable, it wasn't my ultimate goal. I always wanted to work in tertiary education. And so I went back, I completed my graduate work at the University of North Carolina, and I have been employed at the University of the Bahamas since 2005. And any teacher will tell you that more than anything else, it is the interaction and engagement with students that keeps them motivated. And certainly the same is the case for me. I enjoy meeting and working with a diverse group of students every few months. It is for that reason that the job never gets old. But one of the joys of teaching is also that you get to see your students grow and they engage with you and they develop interests in subjects that they weren't interested in before, or you watch their critical thinking skills begin to blossom and they look at themselves and they look at the society around them in different ways. And it is important to me to be a part of that growth process. But teaching is also my love because I learn so much from my students as well. So I don't regard myself as some keeper of knowledge and students have to jump through hoops to get that information or that knowledge from me, not at all. I pride myself on being very approachable and humble, and also acknowledging that I learn from my students, maybe just as much as they learn from me. And so I want you to think of this as a community of learners and a free space where you can engage and share ideas without judgment. And also where you can be sharpened by the views of your colleagues. But I do want to encourage you to also always be respectful of difference and diversity. Sometimes we are insensitive to the fact that we are more and more a part of a cosmopolitan society. Um, our culture is made up of so many different nationalities and races now, and we have to be sensitive to the differences that that presents. And so I ask that you always be respectful of your classmates, always be respectful of me. And I'm going to share a resource on the 15 rules of netiquette with you immediately after this lesson, just to kind of gauge and guide our interaction and to provide some guidelines for you. Okay? And that is all I'm going to say about me. There isn't much to say in terms of personality. I don't like to sum up myself in that way. You will learn who I am as I go through the semester and as we meet for 2.5 to 3 hours a week for the next 14 weeks. Okay, so I'm not going to spoil that by telling you who I am up front. I'm sure you will find that out soon enough. And before we end the lesson, I am going to want to find out who you are as well. Why you're in this class, what are some of the goals and objectives you have set for yourself, and where you hope this learning experience will take you. All right, good. And I am getting an internet connection unstable message. Can you hear me? Am I coming in and out?
We can hear you clearly.
Okay, good.
Clearly.
Okay, let me just stop my video for 1 second. I'm getting the message. I want to talk to you about assessment and the way this course is going to be organized, and that's very important. So as we go through, I want you to maybe take brief notes if you need to, so that you can ask questions, and that would give me the opportunity to clarify anything that I need to before the end of the lesson. Okay, so 3 hours is the time allotted for this course, but I am aware of the limitations of this virtual space, which means that it will be very difficult for me to keep your attention if I talk for 3 hours. And so no lesson that I teach will involve me talking for the entire time. My lessons are far more interactive. And after those interactive sessions, we are going to end somewhere between 8 and 8:15, and you will be given an assessment component or an assignment to complete. Once you have completed that assignment, you submit that to me for a grade at the end of each lesson. All right, now next week, there is no assignment, but we are going to work through a kind of communication and action exercise together. All right, there is no assessment component. I feel like next week is too early to give you something graded, but I do want to lay the foundation for more graded work that you will do during this semester. Okay, so business communication. Why are we taking this course, or why is this important at all? This is a course that has practical application in the workplace. And I'm sure that you, coming from various work environments, are already aware of that. And that is perhaps what motivated you to enroll in this course. Among other things, this course will show you how to approach practical writing tasks. So memos, letters, reports, and there is considerable focus on grammar, mechanics, tone, audience, style. Our goal will be to learn how to improve written and oral communication skills through focus on these things. And I know you may say, well, this is not an English course. Effective communication is intrinsically linked to good English skills. I am aware that we have some challenges. So I'm gonna just sidebar for a minute to talk to you about how our native language poses some challenges to us. As an English and communications specialist for 20-something years, I have observed through interaction with students and with other people, and this is well documented, right? So I don't want to make it seem like I'm saying anything revolutionary. We do not speak English is not our first language. We speak a Creole of English that has very fixed African forms and African verbs. And we are very comfortable with that language. It is the first language that we learn. And we continue to speak in that language in our home and in our friend groups. And so because it is our first language, and I'm talking about Bahamian English Creole or Bahamian Creole English, when we move from our homes where we speak this language freely and comfortably, and we move into a classroom, we are forced to unlearn the rules of that Creole, and we are taught that in many ways it is somehow inferior. And so we are encouraged to drop that inferior language in favor of something standard, something that is globally accepted and globally recognized. And that transition is difficult for many students, and they resist it because it involves a kind of cultural abandonment. Some people see it in that way, but it involves moving from something very familiar to something unfamiliar. And it plagues us even as adults. That presents communication challenges for us. And because we are a more oral culture, we prefer to sing about it or talk about it. We don't necessarily love reading about it or writing about it. Because we have this hostility to reading and writing, it manifests in communication problems. And so I've observed that we have a very real and dire problem with literacy in our society. I'm not saying that everyone across the board suffers deficiencies or gaps in the same way, but there are some real deficiencies and gaps. And it means that we are going to have to focus on some of those issues and problems with communication from an English grammar mechanics standpoint if we're going to improve our communication. So if it seems like some of our exercises focus on the nitty-gritty of speech and syntax and grammar and correctness, it's because that is the starting point for good communication. Okay? All right. And so we're going to get back to business communication and the practicalities of that and how you may function in your work environment as communicators. Any communication activity has one purpose, and that is to clarify or give information. You may communicate to persuade your audience to take a particular course of action. You may want them to buy a particular product, or as business communicators, you may be seeking employment, and you may be concerned about how you can best represent yourself to a potential employer. In every communication act, though, in every communication act, you must think about who your audience is. That means you are focused on or concerned about at every turn that person to whom you are communicating. And then you're also thinking about your purpose. Why are you communicating with that purpose? So what is the goal of your writing or your speech? So those two important factors of communication will invariably determine the third important component of your writing task, and that is your style. So your audience and your purpose determines the style that you use to communicate. How you structure your communication to achieve a particular objective, what tone should you use, what information should you include, and what information should you exclude. All of these are important in the communication act, and we are going to spend the next 14 weeks addressing them, giving great attention to these various components of communication. So my goal is to, at the end of this class, help you to recognize the 4 factors most involved in effective writing and speech. And those 4 factors are clarity, tone, organization, and delivery. And they're so important, I'm going to say them again. Clarity, tone, organization, and delivery. And I don't want you to think of good communication as something that will be achieved after one course. It is something that we may need to work on for our entire lives and continue to hone our skills. I have been teaching communication and writing, as I said, for almost 20 years, and I still have to remind myself of certain things. Slow down, adjust your tone, repeat for emphasis. These are all the strategies that I know to be important, but even in knowing how important they are, I have to remind myself. And so while this course is going to be helpful in guiding you along this communication journey, I don't want you to think of the end of the course as success. It is a work in progress, and something that we will continue to work on ultimately. As long as we continue to communicate, we will continue to hone it. Okay? All right. There are certain things I want to point out regarding assessment and how your grade will be calculated. I've already said that this class will be divided, or the way that I teach this class will involve some lecture and some practical or assessment activities. So I will talk or we will do something interactive for the first hour and a half to 2 hours, and then you will have an assessment activity at the end of the lesson to turn in on the night that it is assigned. And that is another no of communication, the right? But I want you to take notes regarding what I'm going to say next. The assessments and assignments will vary. You may be given an assignment to complete regarding correcting somebody else's business communication, a letter, a memo, or report, or you may be asked to write a form of business communication. Any assignment that you complete relating to appropriate email, telephone, communication etiquette will be given a particular weight or grade. We will complete between 10 and 12 of these assignments for a total of 40% of your grade. So that's classwork. Do you have a question? Someone has their mic unmuted to ask a question?
Sorry, I was having difficulties getting in the class. I know Veronique and several others are having problems getting in as well.
I'm sorry. Do you know what challenges they were having? What challenges were you having?
Well, when I used my laptop, I wasn't able to use the link. When I manually typed in the meeting address and the passcode, it just saying host is in another meeting. So it seems like we were in the waiting room. However, I got in on my phone with no issues.
Were you using, did you see my email and the recall?
I saw your email.
And Mr. Pratt also sent an email.
Yeah, I think I used the one from Miguel.
Yes, that's the one that you should use. Can you communicate with Bernique and anyone else having a challenge joining the meeting to let them know how you got in?
Okay.
But I'm not taking attendance this first session anyway. I know that, you know, the internet connection is dodgy and people are having some challenges. So just share what you found. Thank you.
No problem.
So as I said, coursework assignments, there will be between 10 and 12 of them, and they will account for 40% of your grade. And we're gonna do between 10 and 12 so that I can drop the lowest grade at the end of the semester if necessary. All right? So that is the plan for now. And the remaining 60% of your course grade will be based on your final exam. The remaining 60%, which is quite weighty. Your final will be a review basically of every skill and every component we have covered in this class from week 1 to week 14. And that will be worth 60% of your grade. Now, next week, I'm going to distribute a syllabus which provides a detailed weekly plan and a breakdown of your grade and the assessment components that will make up your final grade. Okay, so I just wanted to give you an idea of the kinds of assignments you may complete in the course, but I know that it's not detailed. You're gonna get a detailed syllabus next class. Well, actually, I'm gonna share it this week and we'll review it next class. Are there any questions related to the course? Do I need to clear up anything for you?
Any projects?
You are going to have a project, yes. And I hate to use the word project, right? Because a project sounds like this is really going to stress me out. But you will have a major assignment, and it will vary from student to student, but it's going to involve producing a video, which you will share with the class, a short 10-minute video, which you will share with the class. But different people will have different assignments. So some people will have to do a kind of mock interview, and you'll be paired for this assignment. So some people will have to do a mock interview. Some people will have to do bad news communication. But the aim is to put you in real life work situations where you will have to communicate effectively. And then I and the rest of the class will be able to judge based on the video that you share, we'll be able to judge how effectively you communicate, right? So that is one component in the class. There is no major research project, if that's what you meant. There aren't any research assignments in this class, not formal research assignments where I teach documentation style and ask you to go out and find credible sources, no. But you will have to do some independent work on those videos. And there are different assignments for the pairs of students. So far there are 10 to 11 of you. So I'm looking at 5 pairs with 5 different assignments. Okay, but all of that is going to be detailed in the syllabus next class. So it is at this point that I stop talking, and I'm going to give you an assignment. It's not a graded assignment, so don't panic, but it does require you to share, and it requires you to write. So you can regard this as your first communication act in this class. It will serve as both a listening exercise, It will serve as both a listening exercise. You're gonna have to listen carefully to your classmates and learn details about them, and a communication exercise. So I want you, it will also help me to get to know you better as well. So I want you to write what I'm going to call a communication mission statement, or if you like, an accountability statement. A communication mission statement. So you know how businesses have a mission statement that guides their operations and their interaction with customers? I want you to write a mission statement that summarizes your communication goals and objectives in this course. You are summarizing your communication goals and objectives in this course. I want you to be as specific as possible though. And so please try to avoid general statements such as, my goal is to get an A in this class. While grades are certainly important and they do matter, I want you to think of particular communication gaps and weaknesses that you are aware of and that you want to address. What skills do you want to learn? And the sharing comes in because after I've given you the 15, 20 minutes or so to write this manifesto, I want you to share it with the class. I'm not going to collect it, but we are going to listen to the goals that you have set for yourself. And I want you to keep it so that you can refer to it throughout the semester. This is why I also call it an accountability statement. You refer to it to see how you rate your own progress and growth as you meet the objectives you set for yourself in your manifesto. So that is assignment 1. You are writing a communication manifesto, summarizing the goals and objectives you want to achieve in this class. And then you are preparing a short speech introducing yourself to the class. So who are you? What are your career goals, your current place of employment, likes, dislikes, hobbies, etc. And so at the end of the 20 minutes, you will share your brief introduction, i.e. introducing yourself to us, and you're going to share your personal manifesto with the class. So that is a plan for the next, well, you will write independently for about 20 minutes, and then we're gonna have a segment where we share. and I hear from you. So you're writing your manifesto and you will share that with the class, but you will share your manifesto after you've shared your brief introduction explaining who you are, your career goals, current place of employment, if you want to share that, likes, dislikes, hobbies, anything that you want us to know about yourself. And then at the end of that, your manifesto. Do you have any questions about what I'm asking you to do? Or any questions in general related to the course? Okay, so I'm going to mute my microphone for about 15, 20 minutes or so, and I'm going to ask that everyone does the same so that we minimize issues. I see Edrica has a question. No, I'm sorry, and Felicia. Edrica, you want to ask a question? Or
No,
Felicia?
no
Okay,
question.
okay.
No, that was before.
Okay, all right. So you go back to lower your hand, you click the more button, and you should see the option to lower your hand. Same way you saw the option to raise it. Okay? All right. So I'm going to mute my microphone, but I will be right here. If you have any questions, just raise your hand and I can answer them. Let me try to connect the student who told me that there are students having challenges joining the lesson. Can you tell me the names of those students again so that I can email them?
Vernique,
Uh-huh.
I can't remember Vernique's last name, but I think she was speaking with somebody
Pretty
else.
Bain.
Yes, she didn't say who she was talking to, but yeah,
Okay.
I know Vernique for sure.
Okay, all right. Let me try to reach out to her while you work on your manifesto. So I'm going to come back, or we're going to come back to this larger meeting. Don't leave the meeting, but I'm going to unmute the microphone and start again in about 20 minutes. So go ahead, get started, and remember, I'm here if you have questions. Do you need more time or are you still right? Are you done?
I'm done.
Anybody else still working? Or is everyone done?
I'm done.
Okay,
I'm
all
done.
right, good.
Yeah.
So let's hear from you. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Is that Denise?
Well,
Okay, Denise. So let's hear from Denise.
what are we sharing first? Is this the mission statement?
No, tell us who you are first
Okay.
and then read your mission statement. And do you mind us reacting?
No, not at all.
Okay, all right.
Okay. So, good afternoon, everyone. My
Good
name is Denise Thompson. I am a banker and a mother of one. I enjoy the finer yet simpler things in life. For instance, dining and conversations, connecting with loved ones, and just the downtime. My goal for being a part of this organization is mainly I wanted to put myself in a position to one, make more money,
Mhm.
to network and make more meaningful connections, um, to learn and grow while expanding my qualifications and to overall become a better me.
Okay,
And that is Denise Thompson.
okay, good. So how did
So,
you manage during this pandemic? Since you said one of your favorite things is to connect with your loved ones and spend
yes.
downtime with them. How did you manage?
So what happened is we have a homestead. My Grammy's house is a homestead, and as it so happens, at the end of 2019, we had just renovated the back of our yard. Like we set up a bar and um, like we completed the outside bathrooms, and it was like
Mhm.
really like it's really a nice setting. So on the weekends or on the evenings, sometimes we'll just connect, and before you know it, it'll be like maybe about 5, 6 of us, and we just hanging out, and nobody's calling nobody, but because it's homestead, everybody's just passing through, and that was what happened. We all ended up using that as our way of staying seen
Mhm, mhm,
and hanging out and
mhm.
keeping the connection strong and our downtime, our breather. So we were pretty okay with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
You were blessed to have that. Good.
Yes, I must say I was very fortunate. And like I say, we did it at the end of 2019. So it was like right in time.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
Yeah. My mission is to, and the mission statement is really basically what we expect for the class overall at
Yes.
the end. Okay, good.
What skills do you want to work on?
To develop.
And I
Okay, good.
said, I don't know if people heard that, but I said you could look at it as an accountability statement, something that you check back and you look at to see how you're progressing and the skills that you could check off. Okay, I think I've gotten better at this, or I
Good,
think I
good.
met this goal or objective.
Okay, so my mission is to communicate as clear and precisely as possible, to be able to relay and share information so that I can be understood. I'd like to be able to hold the attention of everybody I'm sharing with.
Mm-hmm.
My goal is to overcome my timidness and to
Mm-hmm.
learn to communicate comfortably with people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, awesome. You find that you're timid?
I am.
Really? And you started? Okay, that's
It,
interesting. So
it
you're
doesn't
taking a
sound
step.
so.
No,
Because
it
I
doesn't
wanted to
sound
get it out
so.
of the way, like so now I'm done. I can sit down and relax. So I good.
Okay. So she's not a procrastinator. She didn't say that, but she's not a procrastinator. I'm one of those people too. I can't stand things hanging over my head. Okay, good. So you said you want to communicate precisely to be understood. And that is so important in business. I'll tell you an experience I have been having, because it's a recurring experience as I deal with this medical office. So I go to my doctor's office and he's changed staff, right? This is a dentist. This isn't someone you see often. And he's changed staff. So I don't know the lady at the front. And I couldn't figure out why we kept crossing, like we were at cross purposes in communication. And I was like, but I know I said it. Maybe she didn't understand. What is the problem? And today it hit me. She's not listening to me. She's not listening. She's very busy. She's in the computer trying to, I guess, manage client records. And so I kid you not, every time I go to the office and I have to go for follow-ups for the next, I have to see him once a month for the next few months. And I know this is going to be a problem and I'm thinking about how to address this. But every time I leave the office, I have to do a follow-up call to correct some misunderstanding, because I'm thinking about what was resolved when I left. And it's all about insurance, like insurance coverage and what's going to be covered and what's not going to be covered. And it's harder than you would think. And I'm saying, this is discouraging. I'm wondering if I need to see a new orthodontist. Do I need to find someone new? And that is how communication is so important to a business. She has me considering changing this orthodontist that I have used since 2006, because she's new and I love him, but I have to deal with her to get to him. And she's sweet, mind you. I don't think she's trying to be rude. She's just overwhelmed and is not listening to me. And so we have all kind of cross communication going. So yeah, communication is that's my little vent for the day. Communication is very, very, very important in business. Accuracy and preciseness and being understood, very important, because it boils down to money, right? All right, so thank you, Denise. Who wants to go? Do you want to say anything else before we move on to the next person, Denise?
No, ma'am.
Okay, good. Next person,
I'll go next. Good afternoon.
Natasha.
Yes, ma'am. My name is Natasha Dustin. I'm employed at Scotiabank as a collections advisor. I've been in the banking industry for about 8 years, and I'm currently pursuing a banking diploma at the Institute. In my spare time, I enjoy spending time with my family and friends, and like Denise, the fine dining and all that good stuff.
Okay, good.
Okay, my mission statement.
Where's fine dining in the Bahamas? Where do you go?
Where do you go?
That would probably be Bahama and Mahogany House tours.
I know, right?
Good stuff.
I guess. Okay, so yeah, Bahama, Mahogany. Atlantis used to be the spot, but Bahama came and just knocked them off that pedestal, right?
Yes.
Okay, Natasha.
Okay, so my mission statement is to strengthen my communication skills, both via written and verbal, while overcoming my fear of public speaking. And I hope that I'm able to communicate effectively so that my delivery is clear and gives the right tone.
Okay, good. So we have a lot of, you're saying you're timid and you want to overcome a fear of public speaking in the same way Denise said she's timid. And we have a lot of speaking exercises planned to get people a little bit more comfortable with addressing an audience. All right, Natasha, thank you. Anything else before we move on to the next person?
That's it for me.
Okay, Natasha Augustine. Thank you for sharing. And who's gonna go next?
I'll go next.
Helena?
Yes,
Okay,
Helena.
Helena.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Helena Starra. I'm an old soul. I'm a former banker, compliance officer. And I believe in the old adage or the old saying that life is a learning experience and sometimes growth requires discomfort. My accountability statement for this course is to improve my communication skills, both oral and written. I'm afraid of public speaking, believe it or not. I become timid, I become afraid, I'm fearful of it. And it shows sometimes because I get very nervous. So I just would like to improve on that, especially that, and my written skills. And that's basically it.
Okay.
And sometimes when I am nervous, I tend to say a lot or say too much. So I'm trying to avoid doing that moving forward. So
Okay.
that's my weaknesses. So I would like to just improve on those things.
Okay, awesome. Let me ask, since we've heard it, and this seems to be a common thread, what is the fear of public speaking grounded in, do you think? Why do you think so many people express a fear of speaking in public?
I think because number one, we don't do it so often. Normally we communicate one-on-one, or maybe a handful of people at a time. So when you have to address a room with all eyes staring at you, it
You feel you're the center of attention.
feel all those piercing eyes.
Which could be a challenge. What is the largest group? And this isn't a question necessarily for Denise, anyone can answer. What is the largest group you've addressed?
I spoke to a graduation before.
Helena, you spoke to a
Yes.
graduation? Do you know how many
Yes.
graduates were? Well, do you know how many people were in the audience? Because graduates would have been there with family members as well.
Yes, I'm sure more than 100 persons, and I was nervous. I was afraid. I was shaking.
I would be as well. I would be as well.
And I'm a person, eventually I would like to train and develop persons, but I can't do that if I'm not feeling confident enough to. Even though I know I could probably get the message across, but it's just the fair.
What I've learned, and I'm going to share this, I've learned in speaking that we give away our nervousness and anxiety, and we often give away our mistakes. But people in the audience don't always pick up on it. Maybe it's that they're not listening as closely as we think, but they don't always pick up on it. Now, this evil thing called social media has resulted in everyone being a reporter. So they're recording and you're hearing things back. And for instance, most recently, I heard a recording, and this is not a political FNM versus PLP argument at all, but I heard a woman say, vote according to your conscience. And I thought about that and I said, Bohemians before cell phones, that would have been just a joke that someone may have shared with one other person. But in the age of social media, when things are recorded and shared, that became viral, right? Or the Miriam Emanuel and the counting thing, and the fact that Bohemians created memes. And so I think it's a fear of being exposed, our weaknesses being exposed, our own insecurities being exposed. And especially with the predominance of social media, that is more and more of a very real concern. Okay, thank you, Helena. Did you want to share anything else?
Oh, I have one more. Sorry.
Go ahead. I heard from Janice and someone else is talking.
Oh, I just wanted to add one more thing as it relates to the fear of public speaking. I think sometimes too, and I know this has happened to me before, if you're not comfortable with the content that you're presenting, that sometimes too can put you in a space where you get up there and then sometimes you just have a block. And I've proven it.
Yes.
And I've learned that I think I did a presentation some years ago and to probably more than 100 women. And even though I was nervous, once I got to the podium and I started to speak, I just flowed. And it was because that I knew the content and I spent time, going over that and making sure that that was really sunken deep in me. And so once I got there, I was not even reliant on the notes in front of me. So I think understanding and knowing your content, that takes away some of the fear once you begin.
Absolutely. And you're right. What you know inherently just takes over. And your brain almost goes on autopilot, which isn't always a good thing. Because sometimes I find myself speaking just because I know it and not, I move too quickly. And sometimes that's not good for your audience. But you're right, because, and I don't mean to harp on Miriam Emanuel, I'm certainly not making any judgments about her level of intelligence. But what I have said before, and I still believe, her problem is one of preparation. I don't know if she has numbers phobia or something, but it is also possible to write out numbers. And so if looking at 7, 8, 9 digits will throw you off, then the prepared person will write them out so that the words which she may be more comfortable with will come to her, and you read the words and not the numbers so much, but it is a preparation issue. Absolutely. And so when you're more prepared, you can flow. All right. Good. Thank you for sharing that, Janice. That's a good point. So who wants to go next after Helena? Who will share?
Hi,
Okay, Felicia or Felicia?
Felicia.
Felicia.
Hi, good day, everyone. My name is Felicia. I'm 22 years old. I am currently employed at Antipaca, Bahamas. I spend a lot of time listening to motivational speeches and reading a lot of books that could help me be more financial literate. My goal for this class is to communicate effectively in a work environment and outside of work. I want to be able to move people by the way I speak. I want to be able to speak more confidently because I am a shy person also. And I feel like when I speak, it is not taken seriously because of my age inside the environment I'm in. I also see this as an opportunity to grow and advance my career and to network with more seasoned individuals in this field. I also feel like I get taken advantage of because my age also, and I'm very shy, so people tend to not take me seriously. But I want to be able to speak confidently in any setting. So that's about it.
Awesome. Okay, good. Thank you, Felicia. Now, Felicia said something. She said she feels like she's not taken seriously because of her age. And I'm only going to say this because I think I have a class full of women at this point. Do I? Jules. Jules? Anyway, I'm not.
Hey,
Jules?
sorry. I'm a male, sorry.
Okay, that's fine. I was gonna say, I'm not gonna say anything particularly offensive at all, but I wanna ask, how many of you believe that your sex, your gender is an impediment to your advancement in the workplace or impacts how you are perceived and how your ideas are perceived? No one?
No.
No one? You're very, 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 very fortunate. Very fortunate to work in an environment where you feel affirmed and assured and valued despite sex. Many people don't have that experience. Age is a factor, like Felicia has said, but sex, gender, the fact that you may work in a predominantly male environment, or even for some men, a predominantly female environment, right? That those can become impediments too for how you are perceived and how your ideas are valued, whether your ideas are valued or not. Okay, good. And another communication issue I have, I talk with my hand. People, I can't do it. It becomes distracting at some point, but it's something I'm still working on, so please ignore me. And after Felicia, who wants to share?
I can go next.
Okay, Edrica.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Edrica Mckenzie. I'm employed at Fidelity Bank as a senior administrative assistant. I would say my hobbies would be just like the first two persons mentioned, fine dining. I enjoy going out to new restaurants to taste, the foods I've never had before. I also enjoy traveling. I enjoy reading, and I just enjoy alone time. um, I guess I can go on to my mission statement.
Okay, sure.
Okay, so my mission statement would be effective and efficient communication skills for a better future. For me, that is very personal because most times I have what I want to say in my head, but when I go to say it, it doesn't flow, if that makes any sense.
Yes.
So, and then I would like beat myself up about it. I'm like, this is what you were supposed to say, but it didn't come out that way.
Right.
So I would like to improve my communication skills, as I mentioned, for it to be effective so the person would understand what I am trying to explain, and also for it to be efficient. So that would be my mission statement.
Awesome. Okay, good. 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 So Edrica, and you said you're at Fidelity Bank. Good.
Yes, I am.
Who wants to share after Edrica?
I would go.
Tanishka Cobra.
Good night. Okay, my name is Tanishka Colborough. I'm a Leo. I work at Fidelity as a customer service assistant. Some of my career goals are to gain new skills, improve my sales and numbers, and to understand banking in its entirety. Okay.
Hi, Tanishka, you said your role was, what is your current role?
Customer service assistant.
Customer service assistant.
Yeah.
So which means that I interpreted that to mean that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I work in customer service, so I interact with customers and do services for them, like open accounts,
Right.
customer complaints, and so on.
Because when you said sales, I thought about it like, how does her job involve sales? But you explained.
Yeah.
So, okay, all right.
Okay. I enjoy spending time with my family because one thing I've learned recently is that you have to value people while they're still here because life is short. I enjoy cooking. I'm a foodie. And I also like time to myself. I like to regroup, and I also enjoy exercising, not only for strength, but for, it helps me to calm down.
Awesome. I wish I could see the value or benefit of that.
Yeah, it's really good. Okay, and then for this class, okay, so I start with defining communication, which is a process of understanding and sharing meaning. So my main goal is to develop my communication, especially on my job, to choose to fixate my messages for in terms of the audience, and to fix my tone, because sometimes it's not what you say, but how you say it.
How you say it.
I want to become more confident, especially like when you communicating with your superiors to, like I say, to address it with the right tone.
Be respectful.
Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely. You said something that resonated with me. You said you've learned to appreciate people while they're here because life is so short.
Yeah.
And not to turn it into a COVID-19 discussion, but how many of you know someone who's lost someone, or how many of you have lost someone as a result of COVID-19?
Oh.
I've lost quite a few people.
I've never been able to look at something so clearly. And again, I'm not going to turn this into a religious debate, but never been able to look at something so clearly and see evil, just the devil written all over it. Like only he could orchestrate this kind of confusion. I can't say that enough. I have never, and I never thought I would live during a time of such chaos and uncertainty and fear and loss and suffering. It has been a real trial. And I know too many people who have lost loved ones. I lost someone that I considered a friend. And it was odd because he was my WhatsApp doctor, my classmate, and he was very vocal in our class group. And whenever something was going on and I wanted advice, I would message him. And so before I took my first vaccine shot, I messaged him because I was recovering from fish poisoning at the time. And I asked him for his take on it. Did I need to wait to fully recover from fish poisoning? You know, I didn't want to risk any more adverse reactions. And he said, I haven't done it yet. I don't know that I will do it. It's a personal decision. So he basically said to me, I can't tell you what to do. You need to know your body's strength and tolerance level and make a decision based on that. But he said, too many unanswered questions to me. That was June 15th. He died on August 15th. He was that doctor from Exuma that died. 43, two young kids, a wife, and I've not gotten over the shock of that yet. To go from talking to someone often, interacting with them, you see them so full of life and having so much to offer the world, and then all of a sudden they're not here, it's just senseless to me. But this has been an experience, to say the least. COVID-19 has been one for the books. A lot of people have lost people. Tanishka, you had something to say?
Yeah, and just my last point of in regards to what I hope to gain from this course, also to build my networking skills, you know, to get to know persons, because networking increases your network. So that's basically it
Absolutely.
in a nutshell.
Okay, good. So you have a lot of bankers in this class and you could sharpen each other, right? I hope that we have an interactive class, but that depends on you wanting to talk and share as well.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm a sharer, in case you've not picked that up yet. Tanishka, and after Tanishka, who wants to share?
I'll go.
Okay, Janice.
Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Janice Rowe. I've worked in the banking sector for 31 years, and this is going to tell my age. Currently, I'm employed with Fidelity Bank. My life goals are to continually develop and enhance my communication skills, to be more proactive, and to inspire others to be a better version of themselves. My hobbies are sewing, crafting, traveling, and experimenting with new recipes. And the course objective is, one, to write clearly so that others may understand my message, to be aware of the tone of any written communication that I may send out, and to clearly articulate an idea when speaking.
Okay, awesome. Okay, good, Janice. What is the most interesting place you visited?
Ooh, wow. Boy, that's a hard question.
Yeah?
Yes,
What is your
so. I can't
favorite
remember. Oh,
destination?
I know. In 2019, I went to Capri in Italy.
Nice,
Yes,
nice,
yes.
awesome. One of the most interesting places I visited, and it's gonna seem mundane, it wasn't someplace particularly exotic, was San Francisco. And that was because the hills are almost it's like a straight decline, 90 degrees to the ground. It's weird. And then we had to walk, and it was a challenge, but I've never seen anything like that. It's you watch cars struggle to get up those hills, and even more so as we were walking, we were struggling to get up those hills, and that made it one of the most interesting destinations I had visited for that reason alone. And we did that recently. I certainly wasn't prepared for that, and I've traveled as well. I enjoy traveling as well, but I wasn't prepared for that experience. at all. Okay, Janice, thank you very much. And we haven't heard from Jules. We haven't heard from, I think Jules is the last person.
Okay, sure. I actually do not work in banking, so I'm just kind of like it's kind of like a new journey for me. The objective of this class is, I guess, to learn the art of communication, written, verbal. I think I have the tone part down pat because sometimes when you trying to express yourself, when you kind of get like nervous, you don't control really what you say sometimes. But the objective is to I guess increase my communication skills and I guess meet new people, new experience.
Okay. All right, so welcome, Jules. And welcome to the rest of you. So that is what I wanted us to do tonight. I want you to keep those mission statements. And as I said, during the semester, they will become your accountability measures. When you look back, you can kind of see what you have learned or how you've grown. So do you have any questions for me? All right, now I'm going to end the lesson, but there are a few announcements that I want to make. The link that Miguel Pratt shared with you is the link that you will use to access each class meeting. So you won't get an email from me next week or in any of the future weeks because Mr. Pratt already sent that meeting. I again apologize if my message link created confusion, and I suspect that was the reason Bernique and the others might not have been able to join, but I did try to send them the new link and could not. So to avoid any confusion, use the link that Mr. Pratt shared and you'll be able to access future lessons. Next week, as I said, I'm going to share the syllabus and we'll be here for closer to the full time. I just wanted to do an introductory lesson with you and get to know students in the class and hear some of your interesting exchanges. If you have a question that you don't want to ask in front of the group, then don't leave the meeting. You can stay behind to ask the question. Otherwise, have a good evening, and I'm going to see you next Wednesday at 6 o'clock.
Bye.
Okay, good evening.
Good evening,
But
everyone.
before you
Bye.
go, 1 second. The course text. Did you get a message from Ms. Dean or any information related to the course text from Ms. Dean?
No, ma'am.
No, I don't
Okay.
recall.
There is a course text. I am going to find out how she wants to make the text available to students, and I'm going to include information about that in my email to you. All right, I'm going to send an email.
Question.
Miss,
Go ahead.
Okay, hold on, y'all. So, you can talk, I'll talk after Natasha. Okay, I received I guess a textbook from the Institute, because I
What
have
is it?
business communications.
When did you get the text?
I got it on Saturday.
Okay, did you go into the office to get it or did you receive it by email?
No, I got it from the office because I had an exam
Okay.
Saturday and I got it the same time.
Okay, so that is the text. And is it,
I
are you
also
looking
have
at
that text as well.
okay, all right. Are you looking at a color version of the text with
Yeah,
graphs and charts? Okay,
yes.
all right.
Yes.
Good. So it is not going to be shared electronically. You will have to then go to the Institute to purchase your hard copy. I don't think when Ms. Dean and I talked about the text, I asked about any electronic versions, but that is a little bit difficult to arrange, I guess. And so you'll have to purchase a hard copy from the Institute. I'm not sure what the text costs. Tanishka, not Tanishka, Natasha, would you mind sharing what the text
It
costs?
was in the cost that should be included in the fee for the.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, great. All right, so it just means that you need to go by Fifth's office to collect your copy of the text because we are going to use it. I'm going to be providing resources for you, but the text is going to be your #1 resource.
I see that the
Okay.
text on my invoices says $85.
Yeah, it's fine.
So the fee that you pay for the course includes
Yes,
The
it
test.
did.
Yeah,
But
practical.
she would have given an overall total, which would have been
Right.
10.
Business communication, yeah, I'm looking at it on the line, it says 85.
Okay.
And she
all
would
right.
have had a breakdown, but an overall cost. would
Yeah,
have been
that's what I'm
associated.
saying. I have the breakdown here in front of me. So the business communication thing here says 85.
Okay.
So I would assume that's what it is.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Jules. So yes, the cost tax is 85, and Ms. Jean would have indicated to some of you. I mean, those of you who already got the text, what the cost is on your invoice. So, all right, there is no separate fee for you to come up with, which is good.
Yeah. I'll say.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So get that as soon as possible. So that we can begin using the materials from the text. All right, have a good evening, and I will see you next week, Wednesday.
Thank you. Same to you.
Okay.
Good night.
Bye-bye.